activated. Malfunctioning.
Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I've got another pretty fun build to share with you all. What's funny about this one is that I actually made this build a long time ago, and it's been sitting around for, quite a while. It's one I put together just to have some fun with back when, Summit was a thing. I used to run it quite a lot in there, but I haven't used it very recently until I was doing some countdown runs for farming purposes and decided to throw it on again, and that's when I realized just how lethal it is at taking out hunters. As you saw in those opening clips, it wipes them off the board, either straight up one-shotting them or leaving them very vulnerable for your team to finish off. And so this build has suddenly become incredibly valuable as a utility tool I can use as needed, and I wanted to share it with all of you. Beyond that, it's also just super fun to use on its own, and we'll get into that a bit more later in the video. But without further ado, let's just jump into the breakdown. Alright, so here is the build, and as you can see, the main thing that it focuses on for, what makes it so effective at, killing hunters and fighting them is the combination of the Dodge City holster and an exotic pistol, or just a pistol in general that has a lot of high base damage. Now, I haven't seen a lot of people use Dodge City in Countdown. I mean, to be fair, I'm not like inspecting people every second, but I'd be very curious to hear all of your thoughts on how popular you really think this is in Countdown, because I feel like I haven't seen anybody use it. But as you saw in those opening clips, it can be quite effective at doing what it does. So let's go over the general breakdown. Honestly, the Dodge City and the Regulus combination there wasn't my primary focus when I first, came up with this build, but it really is a secondary and almost equal part to what makes it so special for me. I use it alongside with my primary every time the buff builds up, and it's just a really fun combination. So, starting off, I have the Virginian as my primary because this really focuses around headshots and those consistent hits. I prefer this to a marksman rifle, surprisingly, for a build that focuses on like headhunter and a lot of those things. You can use a marksman, obviously, if you want to, but I find this to be a lot of fun, and I think you'll see some of that in the gameplay later. So, on here, I have rifle damage, crit damage, damage to targets out of cover, and it comes with perfect boomerang, which is just a, insane talent on its own that can be really fun. And I really, by the way, I like how the Virginian looks. It actually has the name on there, a bit of a unique look, and with the black skin, I mean, man, that looks pretty sweet. So that's what I'm using there, and it's a lot of fun. You'll see that a little bit later. For the secondary, I just have the FAL. You can use whatever you want. I prefer to have something with high damage to match with some of what the build is set up around. That way, if I need an automatic option to take care of whatever threat is in front of me, I can use that. And then for your pistol, usually I say the pistol doesn't matter. In this case, it does. So the Regulus, if you have it, I think is the best option. You get the explosion, and when you get that kill from the Dodge City and it makes everybody around them die as well, it's just super satisfying. But a lot of people don't have it because it's a raid exotic, and I acknowledge that. If you don't have it, then I would say definitely use the Liberty. Use something like a high-end D50 or maybe even a Magnum, anything that has high base damage that you can take advantage of what this build focuses around, which is the Dodge City, high headshot damage, and high multipliers of that, value. That's really where you're going to get the most bang for your buck in terms of what pistol you're using. So, again, the Regulus is not required, though if you do have it, definitely try it out. But there are other options that can make this viable as well, but you probably will get the most benefit if you have and are able to use the Regulus with this setup. Moving on to the gear, we have 2 pieces of Providence in total, which is giving me 15% headshot damage and 10% crit chance. On here, I have weapon damage, headshot damage, crit damage, and a crit chance mod. For the chest piece, I have 1 piece of Walker and Harris, which is giving me 5% weapon damage, and this is the named Walker chest piece, the Chain Killer, which of course comes with perfect headhunter, which works really well for how this build performs, and again, you will see more of that in the gameplay later. We have weapon damage, headshot damage, crit chance, and a crit chance mod. Then for the holster, we of course have the Dodge City's exotic, which if nobody knows how this works, basically at the bottom of your HUD, you will see the bar fill up next to the little pistol icon, and when it's full, that means you can swap to your pistol, and as it says right there, you get an insane amount of extra damage. That's why I'm able to take down the hunters so well, or damage them so much, is because they don't have any damage resistances to this. It's not like a spec weapon or anything like that, and you can really just put them down. And in combination with something like the Regulus, which has one of the highest base damages for, I think it does have the highest base damage of any pistol in the game, you can begin to see where that comes from when I also have all this headshot damage built in. So that's what I have there. Then for the backpack, the second piece of Providence, but this is also the gift named Providence backpack, which gives me perfect vigilance. Again, even more focus on damage should be pretty self-explanatory why I'm using that there. Weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and a crit chance mod. For the gloves, I have the Contractors, of course, best in slot damage item. And so, you know, it just kind of makes sense to use weapon damage, damage armor, and crit damage there. And then for the knee pads, I have the Fox's Prayers, again, best in slot for damage because you get that damage to targets out of cover multiplier. So I have that, crit damage, and an armor roll. This is really up to you. I like the one armor roll. It just gives me a little bit of wiggle room to be able to be a little bit aggressive like I usually like to do. But if you want to go 6 reds, absolutely do. There's nothing wrong with doing that. In fact, mine is probably the less popular way of doing it, but it's all just for fun, whatever you want. I forgot to do this earlier. Let's go and look at the stats. On this Virginian, I have 50 crit chance, 106 crit damage, and 137 headshot damage. Some people might prefer, like especially if you're on PC, to spec fully into headshot, not even worry about getting any of that crit. It's really up to you. You know, do what you feel is going to be most beneficial for you. This is really just a template like all builds are, and this is how I choose to do mine. And because, like I said, this is basically equal in importance to the Regulus, the stats on the Regulus I have are 50 crit chance, 91 crit damage, and 172 headshot damage, and so that is obviously pretty solid for a pistol, and that's why you see so many of those high damage numbers, which not only works against hunters well, but you know, regular ads too, and you're much more likely to one-shot an elite than you are a hunter, and then you get that explosion. It just works super well. It's a really fun build, and yeah, hopefully that shines through when you see some of this stuff. For the skills, really up to you. I like a decoy, especially for vigilance and just to get the pressure off of me. I can get those shots on easier. And then I have a revive 5 because I'm crazy and I like to play up close a lot. So that saves me more often than not. But whatever you want to run there is obviously up to you. You could run a scanner drone, whatever you want. And then the specialization, I think probably the Sharpshooter is going to be your best bet. I mean, you get the extra headshot damage for rifles and marksmans. You get all that type of stuff. I'm trying to think of what else would be useful. Maybe Survivalist, but no, I think Sharpshooter is definitely going to be your best bet. But as always, try it around, see what you like. That's what I have there, and I think that concludes the look of the build. All right, everybody, that is the build. As you can see, the combination of Dodge City and all of these other items really make for an effective hunter neutralizer, and in general, it's just a really fun setup that you don't see that often. So I figured I'd share with all of you. After this, I'm going to play some general gameplay of it so you can see just how it functions there as well. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on to get me updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts about the build. Have you seen many people utilizing the Dodge City in Countdown and for the hunters? And if not, what do you think about it and the setup? As always, I love hearing people's suggestions and changes they would make to things to better fit their own playstyle, so be sure to keep that coming. That's all I've got for today, though, everybody. Enjoyed the gameplay. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.
Critical systems exposed. Data transfer halted. High-risk target approaching. Incoming. High-risk hostile. Think you can pull one over on me? Area secure.
You can